Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your television. It is really 2023, and for the first time in history, a president is being indicted and will face criminal charges. This is all just such great news, such great news.
I was proven even more right than I would have ever imagined, because apparently, there is actually indicting my father. So,
great orange leader. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe prayer does work.
This is like communist level shit. 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 This is like communist level shit.
Great orange leader. Dear God. God forbid, Donnie boy. God forbid, Donnie boy. Great orange leader. Dear God. God forbid, Donnie boy. God forbid, Donnie boy.
This is like communist level shit. This is like communist level shit. This is like communist level shit. This is like communist level shit.
I think that's about all we need to hear.
Former President Donald Trump indicted again, this time on charges related to the Capitol riot.
They indict. They indict. They indict. I did everything right and they indicted me. They indict.
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile up here because this thing just came out. Look, except it is like highly confidential secret.
Well, it's a very special day because we have today returning to the program Mike Lindell, CEO and inventor of MyPillow.
What would you like me to say, David? I'm not a lawyer. The lawyers are lawyers. What's so hard to understand? They can pull these names. It's just like every state. Every state has people that voted that don't live in the state.
Hold on, Mike.
Hold it, David. You're doing the population of Wisconsin. I have a moral compass. 2 million, you can get them. I got requests out to every single. These are right off the voter rolls. David, you're not listening. David, you're not listening. It doesn't matter who won or lost. This stuff just happened. And I'm talking about getting rid of the machine. Mike Lindell wants to get rid of the machine. Get rid of my espresso machine. The voting machine, David. Everything that can be hacked. You got, credit cards, companies get hacked. Businesses hacked. Gas companies hacked. Who did this attack? Who did this cyber attack? That's all I'm about. We can't have computers running our elections.
Mike, you've mentioned so much. Let me just make one comment here.
Nope. Melt them down and turn them into prison bars. You gotta get them on, Pat. You gotta get them on.
Great to be here.
You gotta get them on, Pat. You gotta get them on.
Get them on, get them on, get them on, get them on, get them on,
No.
For the people that don't know, if you can take a quick moment, you got a massive YouTube channel. You got billions of views online. Your mom supports socialism or no? like the fact that U.S. is liked more today?
No.
Think Hillary's good?
Did I say that? No.
So you're saying that the middle voter doesn't matter at all?
No. Tangent.
Keep going.
Tangent.
Seriously, keep going.
Tangent.
Keep going.
Tangent.
Seriously, keep going. What are you talking about? Keep going.
What are you talking about?
Keep going. What are you talking about? Keep going. What are you talking about? That's insane.
What? Failure. Patrick. Failure. What are you talking about? What? Failure.
That's not it.
Patrick. I think you're missing the picture.
I'm smelling bad. I'm not shaking.
You're not really doing this, are you?
Can I take a sip?
Is that an energy drink now? It is owned by Tesla, by the way. It's Elon's drink. No, it's not. I don't.
All right, welcome everybody. It is an incredible. Oh, what's going on with my super chat stuff? Hold on a second. Let's get this. What on earth is going on here? Those two. Okay, they're going to come up soon. Oh, there's no super chat. That's the. I was like, why do don't those look right? It's because there's no super chats yet. Welcome everybody. We are officially kicking off the 2024 rally and election result season. It is only January 5th of 2024, but alas, the failed former president Donald Trump, under 91 felony charges and found to be a civilly liable rapist, is holding back-to-back rallies in the state of Iowa. Earlier holding a rally in, I believe it was Sioux Falls or Sioux. Hold on a second. There's Sioux Falls, Sioux Center. And then now we are awaiting Trump in Mason City. I can only assume he'll be like years or, months late at this point. It's going to be very, very crazy, but we are awaiting him. He was soaking wet at the last rally, and we're going to review a few of those moments in a little bit. It's so great to see everybody. I'm wearing my Spanx and my glasses because it's a nighttime stream. And that's I guess that's basically the way we do it, I have so many different things to go over. I'm going to tell you some stories. We're going to listen to some voicemails. I have clips for you. I may take a political compass test because there's a whole bunch of people who have been saying, David, you've become conservative. And by the way, for the last 15 years on this show, I constantly am told I've become right wing. And when I say, sir or ma'am, on what issue have I become right wing? I don't know. And then every time I take a political compass test, it turns out I am as left as ever, if not more. So we may do it. What's my glasses prescription? It's not crazy. I'm basically minus 3.5 in each eye with just a spritz of astigmatism in each eye. In fact, the astigmatism is so slight that I'm basically between zero astigmatism correction and like the first level. And my optometrist came to me with tears in his eyes and he said, sir, you could try going with a non-astigmatism contact lens because you're at 0.7 and you could go from a 1 to a 0. And I said, but sir, isn't 0.7 closer to 1 than to 0? And he said, that's true. I tried foregoing the astigmatism correction, couldn't see a damn thing. In particular, at night when driving, the headlights from other vehicles caused me major problems. So we're back on the astigmatism correction, like the sanctimonious. They tell you he can't do it, and then all of a sudden you can't see. So anyway, that's where we're at. Asher says, David, thank you. How late do you think Trump will be to this one? I looked up how far it is from Sioux Center to Mason City, and it's a 3.5-hour drive. Presumably Trump's flying. I don't think he'll be more than 3 hours late. Didva says, here to fix your super chat problem. Thank you as a website member for your political commentary. You and Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II played a huge part of getting me involved in politics. Yeah, unfortunately, I heard
that Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II is no longer Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell Goranson II. And I think we're going to leave it there. But I heard some very, very ugly things said about it. Oh, funny thing, by the way, can I tell you a quick story? Funny thing about the member podcast feed. So listen, our membership system started extremely non-sophisticated. So it used to be that every member shared the same password. This was back in like 2014. So this is like, it's so unprofessional. For a while, the password was like TDPS 2015, and then the password was TDPS 2016. And we would change it every once in a while. And then people whose memberships had elapsed would not have access anymore. That was like the way we do it. So pathetic, right? So antiquated. We eventually improved our systems. One of the benefits of membership is that you get instead of now everybody sharing the same password protected podcast feed with the same password, we have a system now which generates a unique one, right? So it's like, transistor.fm/?HYZVD, it's like a tokenized system. I don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, but anyway, when you're a member, you can go and generate your podcast feed. The problem is once you generate your custom podcast feed, if you then stop paying, there's no mechanism, the website doesn't talk to the private podcast feed. So once you're a member, you can keep that private podcast feed forever. Okay, so as we're launching a new website, we started upgrading some of these elements. And today we set up an integration where now it checks, are you still actually a member on the website? If you're not, it invalidates your custom podcast feed, right? Do people know what I'm talking about here? Okay, so it turned out, and this is bonkers stuff, fake media won't tell you this. The fake news media turns the camera off when I try to tell you this. There were 743 people who no longer had active memberships, but they were free riding on the member podcast feed. Now, let me be super clear, okay? The show is free to everybody. You don't have to be a member to get the show. It's just there's commercials. You can still skip them, right? We're not talking about you're in solitary. It's just, you just know you don't get the commercials. So I pressed the red button, so to speak. We red teamed it. I pressed the red button, and over in an instant, 743 people, their private membership feed dumped. And it's so funny because people start emailing in all innocent. They go, listen, I don't know what happened, but I don't have my podcast anymore. And I go, well, you haven't paid since 2020. That's what's going on. You haven't paid. It's just a little tweak, you got to pay if you want the podcast feed. So anyway, it's a great thing because we're making our systems more sophisticated. And so that happened today. By the way, I think like 5 people are paying, but because the website is glitched on their account, it cut them off from the podcast feed. So if you're one of those people, you can email in, but it's quite a system. It's quite a system. That's my quick story. Okay, let's see. What else do we want to go to? I have, thanks to all these people with the Twitch memberships, Crowbars and Harry Not Harry, also Chunky Strudel. Really appreciate that. We have a goal of 100 today, and we're at 8. Let's look at a couple different things. First of all, what's the context of this Trump rally tonight? The context is Trump's crushing everybody. Out of 100%, Trump is currently polling 63. So it's Trump 63. Everybody else is sharing 36. Nikki Haley has passed Ron DeSantis officially for the first time. Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign is DED dead. Chris Christie, only sane guy on the stage. Nobody wants him. They just don't want him. And for some reason, Asa Hutchinson is still in the polls, although I thought he was long gone. So that's what's going on. Donald Trump posting a bizarre God-made Trump video today. People told me we should look at this on stream. I haven't looked at it yet. Let's take a look. Wow.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker, so God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day.
Yeah, this is pretty cultish.
Fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump.
Totally normal video.
I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation.
Not only is it like cultish delusions, it's also extremely boring. Like 3 minutes of this is, these people are nuts.
Finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the...
All right, that's enough. I know it's dinner time for a lot of people, and it's pretty nauseating stuff, so I think we'll just leave it there. God made Trump is the message. Understood. We get it. You worship the guy like he's God. Super chats coming in. Mike Rokim, he says, David, sir, do you believe Biden's poll numbers are beyond the point of no return? And what can he do to turn it around? Do you believe Jack Smith trial will happen before November? Thanks. I don't know what the current plan is for the scheduling of that trial. It's an empirical question. I just don't have the dates in front of me. I don't believe Joe Biden's polling is beyond repair. I'm just going to tell it to you as simply. I had lunch with a friend today. We had sushi. I had beautiful chirashi and a miso soup. I love extra seaweed in my miso soup. I don't know about anybody else, but as I was slurping it down, we were talking about the presidential election. And I said, listen, when the economy is this good, presidents get reelected. It's people are microanalyzing, well, but the Hispanics have pulled 3 points from Biden too. And then what about Pennsylvania? And then also you've got the churches, they're doing this, that, the other thing. If you just zoom out, when the economy is this good, according to the 5 or 6 primary metrics we look at, presidents get reelected. Now, that doesn't mean we assume anything. It doesn't mean we stay home. It doesn't mean things can't change. It doesn't mean either of the candidates could pass away between now and November. Things can happen that change everything, okay? But we're at 3.7% unemployment, and we've been that way for months. The stock market had an insane year in 2023. Doesn't help everybody, but helps a lot of people. Inflation is down to 3.1, 3.0%. Now it's not negative, right? Things still cost more, but the rate at which they're accelerating is much slower. When the economy is like this, presidents get reelected. That's the bottom line. There's more to it, but no, I don't think Joe Biden's polling is beyond the point of no return. Tardan says, love your work, David. Can you shout out my sibling, Patrick Bowie? Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Shout out. David, if people buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, then send it elsewhere to altcoins, then it isn't that they're hoarding BTC, correct? No, but I'm not really doing crypto questions today. So I don't know what that's about. David, they copied the famous car campaign, God Made a Farmer. How can they legally do that? Well, it is crazy. It is crazy. Crazy Waffle says, I'm at work listening. All my coworkers are Trump supporters. Luckily, my headphones are it. They might have panic attacks. Well said. Oh, and by the way, I don't know how many people saw this, but on the show this week, I played a clip of a biker bar in Sanford, Florida, had the David Pakman show on. And shout out to the biker bar. I think it's called State Road Restaurant or something in Sanford, Florida. If any bars, restaurants, or public facilities are currently watching the stream, take a picture of the scene, send it to info@davidpakman.com. And I will, if I notice it, I'll try to integrate it on today's stream. Okay, let's see what else we have. Let's actually, let me think. What do we want to do next? Ron DeSantis's faith. Let's look at a couple clips from the earlier rally, because this is Trump's second speech that we're awaiting. Here are some moments from the speech. Whoa. And as you can see, Trump glistening wet. glistening wet at the earlier rally.
Nikki Haley has been in the pocket of the open borders establishment donors her entire career, and she's a globalist, you know. She likes the globe. I like America first.
She likes the globe. It was a really weird speech, I'm not going to lie. Here's Trump saying he's not a politician, he's merely a worker, just like you.
A lot of these, because I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself like you, we're workers. We know how to do things, make money.
The greatest grift is Trump making his followers think that he's a worker just like them. Trump with the xenophobic elements talking about people who don't speak our language being signed up to vote. Sir, it's called citizenship.
And I believe now that that's why they're allowing these people to come in. People that don't speak our language, they're signing them up to vote.
Sign them up.
I believe that's why you're having millions of people pour into our country.
Remember, if you're not a citizen, you can't vote. And if you come here illegally, you don't become a citizen. And even if you come here legally, it takes 7 years. I think it's 7 years of permanent residency. My family did it. I think it's at least 7 years before you can become a citizen. So it's a very stupid way to try to win in 2024, to allow people illegally into the country in 2022 and 2021. It's a very dumb way of trying to win an election.
And I believe, because the stock market's doing okay for the last 6 months, but I believe the reason
it's doing okay, guys. It's doing okay.
Because we're leading in all the polls. I think if we weren't, the stock market would be going down at a level that you haven't seen.
Now, remember, Trump predicted a 1929 style recession if Joe Biden were to get elected. In 2020, Trump said if Joe Biden gets elected, everything will crash. It'll be like 1929. Take a look at the stock market. Take a look at GDP, inflation, unemployment, job creation. Trump was wrong. So now he's saying, well, the market is doing okay now on the expectation I will win, even though he might be in jail for life. But if Joe Biden gets elected, it's going to be bad.
And I think if we don't win, I think you're going to end up in a stock market like you had in 1929, not
there
a recession, a depression. I believe that.
He made that prediction 4 years ago. He was wrong.
Rather terrible times, if you think about it. Because Biden, I mean, if you take a look at what he's doing.
Oh, there's a glitch. Yeah, he did the glitch called Biden Bernie. Fascinating stuff. And I guess in this clip, he makes fun of stutters. Let's check that out.
That's why Crooked Joe is staging his pathetic fear-mongering campaign event in Pennsylvania today. Did you see him? He was stuttering through the whole thing. He's going to buy.
Well, Joe Biden has a stutter. Yeah, that's like saying, this guy's sick, huh? Just making fun of a medical condition. You know, he had high blood sugar the entire speech. Oh, well, diabetes. Yeah, is that a joke? What are you talking about? This guy is sick.
Event in Pennsylvania today. Did you see him? He was stuttering through the whole thing. He's going to he's a threat to democracy. They've weaponized government. He's saying, I'm a threat to democracy. He's a threat to democracy. Well, okay.
There you go. Hillary was right about deplorable, right? Joe Biden has a stutter, a medical condition, and Trump makes fun of it. Just about, I mean, at this point, is anything surprising at this point? Disgusting. Truly, truly disgusting. Couple other super chats coming in. Chakaseki, he's the staff radiologist for the David Pakman Show. Happy New Year, David. Apparently he made Trump in his own image, slovenly, obese, orange, smelly, etc. No. Steve says, David, any plans to revive the Pakman Finance channel? I enjoyed it. Lots of good information. You know, honestly, not really. Here's one of the things I'm doing now that, now with the baby running around and everything else, I am really trying to focus on my core competencies. I was spread too thin. We tested a lot of things, the Spanish channel, the finance channel, all of these different things. I need to start cutting down, and we've done it. We are now focusing on our core competencies. It's the main show, which we're getting a graphics revamp very soon. New website is launching soon. YouTube channel is going to get a refresh, all these things, right? The YouTube channel, the podcast, we want it to be as good as possible. The children's critical thinking books, explosive. I think our total, how many of these children's books have we sold? I want to say 25,000 or something. You know, and as all of you know, I did everything wrong with the books. I don't know what I'm doing.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Exactly. And what is the number of children's books we've, let me see here, lifetime, 23,000, okay? The children's books are killing and they're so important, and people write to me, they say, I'm having fun with my kids reading these. So we've got Think Like a Voter for the election year is going to be the next children's book. That's what we're doing, okay? So we're focusing in on the things that are working. Okay, I already answered this question. Firestar says the election is about the economy. Absolutely. The election is very much, very, very much about the economy. Could not agree more. Okay, let me say thank you to Jason Sickmeyer, Owen Provenzano, Harrison Webster, Mason Labonte, and Juan for the memberships on my website, putting us at 17. I will let everybody know there is a new coupon code, okay? You go to joinpacman.com, look at this beautiful coupon code, Save Democracy 24. That's the code, and it obliterates the normal membership pricing. I'll thank everybody who uses the code. You can sign up on my website. And by the way, I do want to address something related to grifting, okay? And this is the way I'm going to back it in. I am honest with my audience, arguably to a fault. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, I have said many times, I don't know that excessive consumption of news and political content is good for you. In fact, I know that it's not good for you. I don't think watching 24-hour cable news is good for you. I've stopped doing it. I've encouraged others to do it. I don't think listening to political stuff all day is good. I don't listen to any political podcasts. I have been very upfront with my audience about this because I want you to be healthy, even though, if anything, it's going to get people not to listen to my show or to watch less of it or whatever. But that's okay. The cards are going to fall where they may. And one of the things that you are not going to get on this show, on this channel, is me posturing or taking positions that I don't really believe in. And this led to a bunch of people writing to me about the various grifters that are out there, people who either exaggerate or who have fabricated whole cloth their political views or had awakenings where they do a political 180 at age 40 or whatever the case may be. I think it's essentially one of the most dishonest things you can do in terms of the relationship with the audience. Now, there's two sides to this. Imagine that you hate unions, okay? But you've decided to promote unions because they advertise on your show or whatever. I think unions are a great thing. I think for tons of industries, unions are a good way for workers to bargain collectively and to try to equalize the power of corporations, which otherwise they have no chance of doing. Does it matter if they're out there with a pro-union message, if they're only doing it because they're getting paid? Well, to the extent that the ends justify the means, you could say, I don't care why you're taking a pro-union position as long as you're taking it. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is on a personal level in terms of the relationship with the audience. The most dishonest thing I can think of doing when you have a public-facing presence like a podcast or a YouTube channel or a TikTok or a Snapchat or whatever the case may be is to have to play a character on your show, right? One of the most disgusting things I could think of that could be done is if publicly I say one thing and privately I go, I don't care about Medicare for all. I don't care about that. I think we should cut taxes for the rich, even though on my show I say that they're too low. I want more defense spending, even though on my show I say that it should go down. To me, that's one of the most disgusting things you can do. Now, I know not everybody shares that view. There are people who fabricate their public platforms completely, and in private, they believe completely different things. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think it's absolutely, and I think it's kind of like the entirety of Fox News, right? While Tucker was promoting Trump privately, he was texting people that he hates him vehemently, despises him vehemently, or whatever the case may be. I don't know who. I mean, I know a lot of people are throwing out other names here. Tim Pool, Hassan. What about Jimmy Dore? I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just telling you from my perspective, it's one of the worst things I could imagine doing. A big thank you to Trey and Angelica Pilger, who just signed up at joinpacman.com. Very much appreciate that. We are scheduled to hear from Trump any moment, and I hope that we will very, very soon. Let's listen to just a couple of voicemails that came in during the stream.
David, y'all should be ashamed of yourself for all the nasty things you say about Donald Trump. He's our president. David Koopman.
Wow. That is very, very serious stuff. Let's get away from the voicemails, actually. I think we're gonna just kind of shift a little bit away from that. Donald Trump is expected in Mason City, Iowa, any moment. I expect that he will ramble about his greatest hits. He will say he won the 2020 election, which is not true. He will say Democrats are going to steal the 2024 election, a claim for which we have no proof. He is going to say that the prosecution that he is currently targeted by is unfair. All 4 criminal trials, it's all very unfair. It's weaponized. He'll say Joe Biden's involved in it. He'll probably either make fun of or criticize trans people. These are just some of the things I believe we can expect coming up from Donald Trump. Did I ever get the Facebook problem fixed? No. So do I even want to do this? Because we're live on Facebook. I guess I will. So on October 18th, I noticed that our views on Facebook went down 95%. So our videos on Facebook used to get 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 views. Starting on October 18th, our videos get 2,000 views, 3,000 views, 1,500 views. Weird. For 15 years, the number of followers on Facebook went up. 15 years, every month. Okay, now 15 times 12, right? Every month our followers went up. And all of a sudden they started going down. And I said, I believe we are shadow banned. Turns out that officially there's no such thing on Facebook. Shadow ban. What's a shadow ban? I don't know a thing about that. My colleague John deeply researched this yesterday. Deep research. We are shadow banned. And we found out exactly what it's called. Check this out. We have 2 different things going on right now. We have violated community standards and we have spread false information. Now, here's the funny thing. The community standards violations are that some people who don't like me flag our posts as spam. And you do it enough, and eventually Facebook goes, oh yeah, you're spamming. When we post our daily podcast, which is why people follow us, think of it. We post our daily podcast to our own Facebook page. People hit that's spam. YouTube has penalized us. And secondly, false information. And this is so damn funny. Remember when Alex Jones predicted that Michelle Obama would replace Biden? And I debunked that. I said, oh, Michelle Obama said that's not true. She's not running. We were hit with a false information because we debunked it. Similarly, there was another example. I forget what the other one was. Yeah, I forgot what the other one was. So needless to say, here's the shadow ban, okay? Our page is now what is called not recommendable. This is how Facebook this is shadow ban on Facebook. They don't call it shadow ban. It is not recommendable, meaning we don't show up anywhere. The only people who see our content now are people already following us if it pops up in their algorithm. So here's my request. If anybody in the audience works at Meta or knows someone that does, this is a big uphill battle. But if we can get those 4 violations corrected, which an internal appeal should be able to do, then maybe our content will be back on Facebook. It's very depressing, very depressing. And by the way, for people who write to me and go, you deserve it because you're pro-censorship. Folks, I am not justifying violating Facebook standards. What I'm telling you is we didn't do it. We debunked those violating Facebook standards. It's not an issue of legality. It's just that these algorithmic systems have caught us debunking content as if we are publishing the offending content. Come on, guys. So anyway, if you have any contacts at Meta, please do get in touch. Please do get in touch. Big thanks to Laura, Nix, Scott Gilly, and Bill Friedman, who just signed up at joinpacman.com. Very much appreciate it. And over on Twitch, thanks to CG Jerdingen, Dave Schmidt, Bowflexman, and Ghost Rooster for the Twitch Prime subscriptions, putting us at 26. Very much appreciate it. Expecting Donald Trump any moment. Let's look at a couple other things while we're here. Where do we want to start? Let's go here. Here is Ron DeSantis explaining his deep faith. Let's see how nauseating this is.
How does faith guide you, and give people an example of where you relied on that?
Is that coming out of only one headphone for anybody else?
And made a decision.
Is that only coming out of one side? Or is that in stereo? Yeah, I can't control it. It's the video. I don't know.
As governor because of that. But then the other side of that from these folks is, how do you make sure that there exists a separation between church and state, essentially?
Well, faith in God is just, who I am, and
Right.
my faith is my foundation.
I am faith. If you look up in the dictionary, you don't find my face next to woke. You find my face next to faith.
It's how I am able to deal with issues when the seas are choppy, when people are gunning for you. I put on that full armor of God, and that allows me to have the strength to be able to lead. We saw this when my wife got diagnosed with breast cancer. Major thing. I mean, our kids were 4, 3, and 1 at the time, and we didn't know, what was going to happen. The prayers we got from people, not just in Florida, but throughout the country, lifted her spirits. It lifted our family spirits in a way that was really powerful. And I'm a firsthand believer in the power of prayer. And as governor, I think I would not have been able to stand strong during COVID, during some of the fights we had where we beat
It was thanks to prayer that he mishandled COVID so egregiously.
Disney on the transgender ideology, keeping that out of the schools and the elementary schools, because you got a lot of people that gun for you. And so I think having that faith, the faith in God, really gives you the foundation where you're standing strong for what's right. Now, in terms of how that relates beyond that, I mean, we're a diverse country. I mean, just in Iowa, I've gone to a number of different denominations, and they all have, great traditions. And that's, government needs to be neutral amongst that. I mean, there's not going to be an established denomination versus others. But
listen, you can be any kind of Christian you want in our country. We're not going to play favorites with versions of Protestantism. As long as you're Protestant, okay? We're going to treat everybody equally. No establishment of religion.
We are a country that is based on the idea that our rights come from God, not from the government. That's in the Declaration of Independence. And you absolutely have a right to not just go to church on Sunday and practice your faith there, but to live your faith.
Yeah, it's funny how they never go, and by the way, the exact same rights apply to be free from the coercion of religion. If you don't want to go to church, if you don't want to be religious, and employers aren't allowed to ask about it, and it's never that. That was any kind of Christian, Baptist, Pentecostal, whatever. You can go to any church you want on any day you want, and nobody should bother you. That's the United States. There's a bunch missing from that, buddy. There's a bunch missing from that. No surprise that DeSantis is vile and disgusting, as we like to say. Jesse Waters made a bizarre joke about cartoon characters murdering migrants. This guy is unhinged. Let's take a listen to this.
Mickey Mouse is now a creepy serial killer in a new live-action horror film. It's because the copyright for the original film, Steamboat Willie, which dates all the way back to 1928, has finally expired. Greg, is this the serial killer that we all need?
I don't know. I'm surprised he's not canceled yet. I mean, he's clearly...
Mickey?
Yeah. I mean, look, the little rodent probably...
Remember, Greg Gutfeld's a comedian, so he has really funny jokes written down that he reads during the show. They're so funny.
Identifies as white. He's never marched for civil rights. He hates black cats. Let's be honest. He's not a good person. Anyway, I thought Steamboat Willie was a euphemism. I had to go to a doctor.
Isn't that funny?
That's one-punch homicide. Yeah.
Dana, does this bother you?
A little bit, yeah. And I think that the copyright law, which is only for 95 years, it should probably be revised,
forever.
especially if all of us are living a lot longer.
Yeah. That's
There
a
you
good
go.
point.
That's very practical.
Very
Give corporations more power.
good point.
Jesse, would you like to make a good point? Try really hard.
Yeah. Pretend to care.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have made Mickey a migrant.
Ah.
And I would have had him pay Wile E. Coyote to smuggle him north. And then I would have had him fake adopt Speedy Gonzalez as his son, so he got asylum. And then Elmer Fudd would have shot him dead in Texas.
Yeah.
How did you?
Funny material, guys. Wow. I can see why he's in prime time now. I mean, that's some really, really good material. Stephen Robbins, also known as Ronald Reagan, sends a super chat, and he says, an asylum seeker coming to the U.S. now likely wouldn't win their case for at least 2 years, then another year for residency, then 5 years for citizenship, and English is required. Yeah, so the idea that Biden's letting in migrants to vote in 11 months is very much absurd and ridiculous. Big thank you to Austin Walton, Andrew Warren, Brad Weber, Andrew Warren, and Andrew Warren, who gifted a bunch of subscriptions. Really appreciate that, guys. We're at 32, and the coupon code, very timely, is Save Democracy 24. That's what's on the line at the end of the day here. Let's look at a couple other clips here. Here is an ad of some kind. Let's get past the ad so then we can get to what I wanted to look at. Here is Marianne Williamson on Timcast, and they talk about book bans. By the way, damn, should I even say? Listen, I'm gonna say something. I don't know if I'm speaking out of school, okay, but I'm just gonna say it because at the end of the day, what does it matter? Few months ago, Marianne Williamson emailed me. She wasn't happy with me. She didn't like that I was. Actually, let me be accurate. Let me be accurate. What didn't she like? What exactly was it she didn't like? I don't want to misquote what she said. Marianne wrote to me and said, what did she say? I'm not going to read the email. I'm just going to be general. She basically said I misrepresented some of the things that I've belittled her. She said I've belittled her, and she hopes I won't do it. Okay, so I wrote back. I said, haven't meant to do that. And recently, her PR person pitched her to be a guest on the show, and we said, okay, let's do it. And the PR person said no. Marianne wrote to me, wasn't happy with the things I said and that we weren't covering her. The PR person says, hey, do you want to interview Marianne? We say, yes, we do. And she goes, oh, we're not going to do it. So I wrote back to Marianne and I said, listen, Marianne, we're trying to have you on. I'm trying to interview you. Your publicist said no. Okay, go figure. All right, let's listen to this discussion between Marianne and Tim Pool on book bans.
We have limited time, so I would like to move on to some other subjects and then definitely get into the area of the media, your polling. But one thing I did want to ask you about was your position on one of the big culture war issues in this country is in Florida, they announced that they would be barring certain books from curriculum that contained adult materials. This resulted in big headlines like this about, this is not the one. Orlando newspaper publishes spread of 673 books banned in Florida County in 2023. I was curious if you knew a lot about what was going on nationwide with the removal of certain books from school curriculum and what your thoughts were.
I'm very much against book banning. I think book banning is basically fascist behavior. Some of the books that are being banned, there'll be a suggestion of homosexual feelings, so they call it they call it pornographic and something children shouldn't read. I trust teachers and librarians, and I don't like the idea of the U.S. government or a state government telling librarians or teachers what they can teach.
You don't think we should have laws on any, like what about a Playboy? Like if a Playboy was in a grade school, would that be an issue?
A Playboy magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a parent, I'd have a big problem with a Playboy magazine.
What if there was a book being given to middle schoolers that depicted giving blowjobs?
I would. Yeah. Well, okay. Once again, I wouldn't want my child to read that, and I definitely would be wanting to work on.
This is the book.
Okay, that's school board. That's not government, not the U.S. government, or I don't want the U.S. government, and I don't want the state governor telling.
This is a little shaky, but there is a good point she's making.
Me, the books cannot be taught. If I were a parent, and I am a parent, if my child in the 8th grade, I would definitely be going to the school. I would definitely be working with the school board, and I definitely would have a problem with that.
What if the school board, if it doesn't do anything about it, then do you have to appeal to the state?
I don't want this. I don't want a governor telling colleges what classes they can teach.
This isn't colleges. This is
no, and even the 8th
grade school.
Yeah, no, I don't think the governor should be telling schools what they can teach in the 8th grade. I would have a problem with that, but that's school board. And then you elect people to your school board.
If you had a child between the ages of 10 and 12, and the teacher was providing them instruction on how to use anonymous gay sex apps, would you call the police on that teacher?
I would definitely go to the principal right away.
So here's the problem with this entire conversation, and let's see if we've missed Trump. Trump is not here yet. Here's the problem with this conversation. What Marianne, I think, is doing wrong here is she's trying to reframe the conversation in a logical way, but isn't actually succeeding at doing it. So Tim Pool asking about 10 to 12-year-olds and sex apps or whatever, or a particular book. The problem with the entire book thing is I don't know anyone on the left, and certainly not me, who is saying there is no limit to what reading material should not be either in a library or part of the curriculum. But they benefit from mushing all this stuff together, and they mix together something is in a high school library versus something is part of the 2nd grade curriculum, when these are completely different things. Sometimes they talk about materials that would be inappropriate for a 7-year-old, but they're talking about it being in a high school. So why are we talking about 7-year-olds? It's in a high school. So my approach on this is say, listen, it is a legitimate thing to say not all content is age appropriate for kindergarten through 12th grade. That it's not all appropriate. There are things appropriate in 11th grade that are not appropriate in 4th grade or whatever the case may be. That's number one. And so there should be an age appropriateness here. It's not up to parents to decide. Ultimately, it's up to professionals to decide, but parents should have involvement in it. Parents, guardians, right? They should be engaged with what the reading materials are. It's important to differentiate between something that is in the library versus something that is assigned as part of the curriculum. There should be a transparency with regard to what are the materials, and there should be a process if a parent says, I believe this material is not appropriate. But part of the transparency thing is you can't use the rules of challenging and whatever to disproportionately eliminate stuff where it is LGBT that is mentioned, even though it's no more graphic than what you might see about a straight couple in a material, or disproportionately authors of color, even though the substance may be no different. There should be a transparency as to what are the standards for which age. And it's really important not to fall into these. What if there was a book for a 10-year-old that depicts how to perform oral sex? Is there such a book? Is it in the library or is it being assigned? Who's allowed to check it out? Where is the book? What is the book? Who's assigning it? Who approved that book? And by the way, and I see people in the chat, in so many of these cases, as soon as you read through the rubrics for what isn't allowed, there's no way in hell the Bible should be allowed. And yet it is in so many of these cases. And this isn't all about these are hypocrites. The Bible shouldn't be there if any. It happens to be like a bonus bit of hypocrisy. But I don't think it's the primary thing. I don't know about teaching a 10-year-old about gay apps, but give me what's on the curriculum for 16-year-olds, and then I'll tell you whether I think it's appropriate. But I'm not a professional educator. We should defer mostly to the professional educators and have a process where parents can say, I don't think this is appropriate. Maybe a parent says, I don't want my kid participating in this particular thing. But I think we can leave it there. I think I've made my point. Thanks to Slip and Shank for the Twitch Prime subscription. Really appreciate that. Oh, and also Tool Moo. And I want to say a huge thank you to Trevor Davis, Robert Jackson, Lisa Rader, and Jan Kernka. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Remember that today's coupon code is SaveDemocracy24. And you can use that at joinpacman.com as we await failed former President Donald Trump. Super chats coming in. Man Bear Pig says, a YouTuber, Actual Justice Warrior, made a video response to your recent video on Fox News and crime. You should check it out. Says the stats you cited lack context and that Jesse Waters was not wrong in what he said. Good for Actual Justice Warrior. You know, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of videos a month made piggybacking on my content. It's not super interesting to me to respond to them, but hopefully Actual Justice Warrior made a little money off of that. Ann Ross says, today I was sharing on a chat and I heard many MAGA say vile, threatening things. Discourse impossible. It's a shame, Ann. It's a shame. Cisco says, where is that even happening, David? Books on blowjobs in elementary school? Where is that even happening? They're creating solutions to problems that don't exist. Give me a break. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I were Marianne, I would have said, what school has that? And for what age? And is it in the library or is it part of the curriculum? David, I would love to see Professor Alan Lichtman on the show sometime closer to the election. Yeah, he's been on twice. I haven't seen him active in the scene lately. Yeah, Alan Lichtman, 76 years old. I haven't seen him recently do interviews, but I'd love to have him on. Alan Lichtman is known for the 14 keys, which is how he predicts who will be president with extraordinary accuracy over quite a period of time now. I think decades, certainly decades. All right, let's continue with a couple other things. Daily Wire host plots to smear Disney. We need to turn Mickey Mouse into a Nazi. What is going on here?
Mickey Mouse has to become a Nazi. He has to. Because Disney is a very, very evil corporation that wants to.
I used to go on this guy's show and I'd get so many death threats after appearing. And when I mentioned that, he once laughed it off. I mean, why would I make that up?
Trans your kids and fill their heads with all sorts of crazy ideas. And Disney's got to go. Disney's got to go, guys. You heard all the Disney executives talking about their not so secret LGBT LMNOP agenda. You've seen what Disney has done in recent years, so much so that the governor of Florida had to take political action against them to stop Disney from trying to interfere in the democratic process in Florida to stop the libs from transing your kids. Okay, Disney is really, really bad. And so one of the best things that we can do right now is make the Disney characters toxic. And coincidentally, call it providentially, whatever it is, the Disney character is now in the public domain. And what this means is...
Imagine caring about this.
We need to turn Mickey into a Nazi. Because Nazis are bad.
Oh.
We're not going to turn Mickey into a Nazi because the Nazis are good. You see, I'm quite anti-Nazi. I assume you are as well.
I didn't know. I'm glad he clarified.
In fact, being a Nazi is the worst thing you can possibly be today and for a very long time. So we need to turn Disney into the worst thing it can possibly be. And it can be done. In fact, I'm shocked that the mischievous...
Hey, how about a plan to feed the hungry, Michael, instead of Nazi Mickey Mouse? It seems like this should be satire, but it doesn't seem to be. I don't think Michael knows. You know, with these right-wingers, sometimes it's like, wait, are you a comedian or not? They're never funny. The comedians aren't funny. And then the serious ones seem like they're doing bad comedy. Really weird. Really, really weird stuff. Let's listen a little bit to what's going on in the room here awaiting the failed former president.
Obviously, I know the camera can't swing around, but I know that for those of you that are wondering, yeah, the doors are closed. I believe we are at max capacity here at this facility. Matter of fact, I'm looking at several officers that by the door. So I don't think they're going to let anyone else in this building right now. And I know that Miles might have a difficulty swinging around.
Speaking of the crowd, the dude asks via Super Chat, hello, David, how many people do you think are in the crowd? And do you think his following has shrunk at all, or is it as bad as ever? Congrats on 2 million subscribers. I've been here before. You had 1 million. Listen, who knows? The thing about these events is the crowd at a particular event doesn't really tell you anything about national support. How rural is the place where you're having the event? What's the capacity of the venue? I don't think you can read anything at all into national support from a single crowd in one of these rooms. I just don't. We're working on a new channel trailer for the YouTube channel, and we're going with a different concept this year. I'm going to preview it for you. The concept is letting others do the talking. So this, I really want to be clear. This is just a very rough draft, but this is what we're looking at in terms of the new channel trailer. I like this concept.
Okay, so why do I watch David Pacman? I like this guy. That's all my point is. He's dealing in facts, and I like him.
As you can see, it's not complete. There will be footage here.
I have no words for David Pacman. David Pacman does not have a soul. He doesn't have a soul.
Look at that. Pac-Man never talked to the New World Order. Pac-Man never tried to get hired by the Kissinger Group because Pac-Man's a loser.
Okay. You got a massive YouTube channel. You got billions of views online.
One awful progressive talk show host.
Hello, David. Here we go. We're live. I enjoy your show. I really do.
David Pacman, a left-wing progressive political commentator.
If I was telling my children who not to be, it's that guy. And he's a disgrace.
David, you are like dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony.
Look at those eyes, man. That dude is gone, ladies and gentlemen.
And I will send you some pillows here. I would like you to try them out, and you need to sleep better, David. You have the same energy I do.
By the way, he's not paying for this mention. I just watched this guy Pac-Man. He's good. Pac-Man. He's Pac-Man.
There you go. So that's the concept. You know, usually we do. I never got the pillows, by the way. Usually we we do a new trailer every year, and usually there's like a voiceover that I do, and we recorded a voiceover, and then my colleague Noah was editing it all together, and I said, you know, it's 3 minutes long. I don't think me talking is adding anything. Why don't we go for the 2024 trailer with something totally different, just other people and these funny clips? I think it works really well, and people seem to be liking it. I'm dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony. That may be one of the greatest, the most iconic things anyone has ever said to me during an interview. Vivek saying, David, you're dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony. Just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Yeah, they followed up and offered to send Pat the pillows, and I don't think he accepted it. If I recall correctly, I don't think Pat accepted it. Welcome to Stephen Sickler, Helen Monday, and Evelyn Gay, who just signed up on my website with the coupon SaveDemocracy24. For people just joining us, Donald Trump is now 30 minutes late to his second rally of the day, and we are awaiting him any moment. It looks like a crowd of 4 million people ready to hear the failed former president speak. And I invite anybody who wants a shout out, grab a membership before prices go up. Do people want to know how high the prices are going? I've been teasing this for a while. Let me see. We were just working on it today with the web developer. We have not increased. Wait, where is this? Here it is. We have not increased membership prices in like over a decade. Okay. And right now where we're at is 60, 120, 240, 480 on yearly, and then 612, 24, 48 on monthly. Now, listen, there's always coupon codes available, right? These are just the sticker prices. But here's my thought. I think on monthly, we're going to go $649. So the lowest one will go up. But then there will be a $9.99, $24.99, and $49.99. That's one possibility. And then the yearly, the cheapest one, will be $64.99. So it'll go up like $5. That's one idea. The other idea is we'll just go 70. So it'll be $7, 7, 10, 25, and 50. And then yearly we'll go 70, 100. Yeah. Anyway, the new website looks a lot better, and it's just going to look a lot better. The reality is there will still be coupon codes around, but our baseline prices, which I think like 60% of our members pay full price. Those are going to be ticking up a little bit. Inflation buster. David, no price increase for over a decade, if you can imagine it. And the new website looks really, really good. In fact, let me see if I can show you a little preview. Just so people actually know the new website exists also, because there have been a lot of, this is like the new, it's 2 weeks away sort of thing. Let's see if I can show you something. Well, here's the new login page for the website. Beautiful. It's 1,000 times better than what we currently have. By the way, you're only seeing like part of it, I guess. Oh, here we go. Anyway, so this is the new login page. And let me see if I have anything else to show you. Oh, and here's the membership page. Look at this beautiful membership page. Look at this. We were working on our hover actions today. These are still the old prices. We're also going to dump in a lifetime membership. Sometimes people ask about it. We'll offer a lifetime membership, kind of a cool thing. But I think it's going to be good. And then the other thing we have is, let me see if I can find this. Yeah, I mean, just the website is going to look so much better. Where were the... Okay. Anyway, I don't think I have other stuff to show people. But anyway, the new website is real. That's the point I wanted to make. Whoops. That's the point I wanted to make, because a lot of people are getting suspicious and thinking it's the new, Trump's healthcare plan, that is not live. That's development stuff. That's development stuff. A watermark. What has Green Man, what are you talking about? What has a watermark? There's a watermark? Anybody know what Green Man's talking about? There's a watermark somewhere? I didn't notice that. Watermark. I don't see any watermarks. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Okay. Yeah, looks fine. All right. Anyway, so new website coming soon. I think it's going to be cool. Thanks to Tiebreak, a new Twitch Prime subscriber. Really appreciate that. Huge thank you to, oh, look at this. Laura Nedved, Tom Rowe, Mark Grant, Jared Tester, Karen Grant, Bobby Reich, and Matt Farrell signing up at joinpacman.com, putting us at 49. Let's look at a couple other super chats here. Joe Seals is destroying democracy. David, feels like you're having a fire sale right now, but my membership doesn't renew until July. Do I have to wait? Can I re-up now? Yeah, there's really no way to do an early renewal of a membership. There's really no way to do that. It's just not a thing. Not a thing on the website. All right, let's listen to a couple other voicemails here.
Hey, David. Happy New Year, by the way. I don't know if you heard that Ethan and Hassan's show, The Leftovers, broke up.
I didn't know that.
During
Hassan Destiny Piker II.
the fall of that show, it was basically around the Israel-Palestine thing. Hassan was basically justifying murder on October 7th.
Okay, I don't know if that's true. This is just a voicemail, okay? I don't know that any of what this person is ascribing to Hassan is true.
Saying, specifically of babies and stuff, saying that there were baby militants, baby settlers. He said that there were baby settlers, and that was just something that was pretty insane to me. And I don't necessarily know if that's something that he actually believes, or if he's just so dug into his point that there's no way.
Listen, I have no idea what happened with Hassan and Ethan. Ethan, I consider Ethan, I mean, he's not like a close friend or anything, but we chat sometimes. He has mentioned nothing about it. Nothing about it. I would gladly appear with Ethan on any of his shows anytime. And I would gladly appear with Hassan or have Hassan on. Now, this is when all of the Hassan stans come out and go, he would never have you on. He's too big for you. I'm just saying I'll work with either of them on anything they want. I'm not doing anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying he wants me on or doesn't want me on or anything like that. Okay. Doesn't make any difference to me. If they want me on, I'll be on. And by the way, speaking of guest appearances, we are working on me appearing on the Iced Coffee Hour with Graham and Jack, which I would love to do. I'm a fan of that show. Iced Coffee Hour. We are in discussions to try to work out the logistics. And also with Meet Kevin Paffrath, old friend of the show. We're working on setting that up as well. Both, I think, will be kind of like newish audiences, people that aren't familiar with me. So we're working on that. All right, everybody. Thanks to Charles Wieland and Little Shirley for the Twitch Prime subscriptions. Welcome as we are awaiting failed former president Donald Trump. Let's go to a couple more voicemails here. Let's see.
Yes, David. It's funny because the Republicans made a big deal out of Biden going and laying out on the beach, enjoying his day. About the harmful sun and all that. I mean, he probably was wearing some sunscreen or something.
All right. I don't know anything about that. It seems like Trump is here. Here we go. Dear God. Look at this guy. Trump with his signature posture where he hinges forward at the waist and rocks side to side while cultists scream at him and take pictures. A very unusual stance, one we've not seen before, sometimes associated with a form of frontotemporal dementia. We don't know if that's what it is or if it's just Trump's high heels. Trump known for wearing internal high heels inside of his shoes, sort of like Ron DeSanctimonious. Look at this.
From sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA.
Right.
Where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American.
It's always so awkward when he walks out at the beginning of the song, because then he just stands swinging, hinging forward at the waist for like 3 minutes. And it's super weird. For normal people, I mean, this is a cult, so they probably love it, I guess.
Still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Look at this. Now he's swaying side to side. Turn the cameras around. They won't show it to you. God, this is awkward.
Next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
This is a cult if I've ever seen one.
Oh, we're going to take our country back. We're going to take it back.
They call them dumps.
Well, we start by saying, hello, Iowa. This is a great place. We're going to have a big year. Happy New Year, by the way.
And 10 days from now, the people of this state are going to cast the most important vote of your entire lives. You know, I said it in 2016, I said it, and I meant it. And then we did a great job, and we had a rigged election, unfortunately, but we're going to change that around. We're not going to let them do it. We're not going to let them do that. But, you know, there were so many things that we did that I never really said that in 2020. We had a safe border. We had the safest border in the history of our country. So I never said it, really. But now I can tell you we have the worst border. We have the worst president in history. We have a president that can't put two sentences together. We have a president who can't walk off the stage. See this thing? He can't find the steps. Can't find the steps. Now we have a president who's a great danger to democracy. He really is. He is a danger to democracy, and
really
at a level like few people have seen. By delivering a massive victory in Iowa, you will send a thundering message straight to crooked Joe Biden, the fake news media, a lot of them back there. That's a lot of fake news back there. They had to travel all the way up here. Look at the crowds we have, huh? People outside, too. And all of the evil and sinister people trying to destroy our nation, and that's what they're trying to do. There's one of two things. They're either very stupid or they're trying to destroy the nation. And I don't think they're stupid because they wouldn't be able to cheat so well in elections, right? So they're trying to destroy our country. With your vote for our campaign on Monday, January 15th, you will declare that we are going to take back our country. We are going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, and we are going.
He may be in prison for life by then. If we're, you know, that's one outcome that's possible.
And it all starts here in Iowa at 7 p.m. It's on Martin Luther King Day. You can't forget. And we're going to do something. And here's the thing. We have these polls that show us we're 35, 40 points up. Forget them. Pretend we're 1 point down, like you young guy in the front with a beautiful hat on. Pretend we're 1 point down. Forget about 35, 40 points up. You know, nationwide, we're 64 points up. Okay, 64 points up. And I think in your state we're like 40, but forget that. Pretend you're down 1 point. What do you think, Mike? Is that good? That's a good idea, right? 1 point down, but you have to get out and vote because it sets a tone. It even sets a tone, frankly, for November, because we have to bring it back from these lunatics that are running our country. Do not stay home. If you want to save America, each and every one of you has to get out. You have to get out and vote. And, boy, I tell you, the biggest risk is you say, you know, we're winning by so much, darling. Let's stay home and watch television. Let's watch this great.
Same routine from last time.
We'll do that. It's not going to be pretty, but we're not going to let that happen. You know, I'm going to be here. You know that, right? I'm coming to Iowa.
Yeah.
I'm going to caucus. We're going to be in Iowa. We're not taking any chances, right? You know, they're spending a lot of money. The globalists have given her money. And you know, I know very well she ain't going to do it. I can tell you she's not going to do it. And I know him very well. Both disloyal, both extremely disloyal. Him, I got elected. He was down at like nothing, came over, begged me for an endorsement. You know that better than anybody, right? Begged me for an endorsement. And he helped me a little bit with the impeachment hoax, number one, impeachment hoax, number two, 2 hoaxes. We had about 15 hoaxes. We have currently a lot of hoaxes going on, too.
It's all
fake.
They
never stop. And you think they won't do it to them? They would do it to them, too, but they would wilt. They would wilt. But he came over, tears in his...
Completely demented criminal genius Joe Biden, who has hidden all the evidence despite not knowing what day it is.
And stupidly, I gave him my endorsement. And he went up like a rocket ship, and that was his only claim to fame, and he ended up getting it. And then I got him past the general election. We did 2 or 3 rallies. They were big, beautiful rallies. And I said, you're going to win. He said, I don't think so, because the man he was running against was the hottest politician in the country. I said, you're going to win. I'm telling you. I could tell by the rallies. The rallies were incredible. And he won. And then 4 years later, they said, will you run against the president? And he said, I have no comment. I said, that means this guy's running. And that was the end of him, right?
Great story.
So
huh?
now in Florida, a poll came out today. I'm at 89 and he's at 9.
Could that possibly be true?
And now I guess he's fighting for second place, isn't he? They're both fighting for second place. You can have either one of them, globalists. But we're thrilled to be joined today by some incredible people. State Senator Brad Zahn. Now, Brad.
Just as a fact check, I see Trump polling no higher than 63 in Florida, despite him saying he's polling 89.
Endorsed me 3 months before I ran. Nobody knew I was running. I didn't know I was running. I really didn't. I didn't know.
He knew.
One day I said, come on, First Lady, let's take that trip down the...
And she said,
let's
sir?
take that trip down that beautiful escalator, First Lady. But Brad was there 3 months before I was. Can you believe it? And he's a great guy wherever he may be. Where's Brad? Where's Brad? Brad. I call him the Marlboro Man. He's a handsome guy. 3 months. You remember that, Brad? I said, who's that guy in Iowa? I didn't know him. I said, who's the guy in Iowa? He keeps endorsing me. He likes me. And I got to meet him, and I like him a lot. He's a fantastic guy, and he loves your state. He loves our country. Thank you very much, Brad. We appreciate it.
We love it, Brad.
And state representatives, fantastic people. They all endorsed, and they're all really right out there. Derek Wolf, wherever Derek may be. Derek. Hi, Derek. Thank you. Great job, Derek. They like you, Derek. Charlie Thompson. Charlie, thank you. Thank you very much, Charlie. A friend of mine, former Congressman Rob Blum.
Oh, boy.
We should take that former. Hi, Rob. We should take that former. Oh, wait, you feel like running for Congress? I have a couple of positions for you in Iowa. I have a couple we could do without. You feel like running? I have a couple of ideas. Former acting attorney general, a friend of mine, Matt Whitaker.
Oh, boy. He's nuts.
Very popular, Matt. He's very popular. Good guy. He's a good football player, too, by the way. The stakes of this election could not be higher. They can't be higher. And by the way, I just spotted him. A man who is the single greatest buyer of commercials in the history of television, Mike Lindell.
Pillow.
And his pillows are good also. His pillows are very good. But if he could buy our ads for us, I would say that we would have ads just blanketing the nation for about 1/3 the price, I suspect, right? No, you're great. He's a great guy. He's always a popular person, too. We introduce him. People love him. I love him. Under Crooked Joe.
Two-time guest on this show, by the way, Mike Pillow.
Literally erased. Millions of illegal aliens are invading our country. They're coming from all over the world. Nobody knows who they are, where they're from. Countries that nobody ever heard of. Languages that we don't have people to teach these languages.
Languages Trump never heard of. Countries Trump never heard of.
U.S. is being crushed by Biden's crippling inflation like we have never seen before, really. Violent criminals are running wild in Democrat-run cities while law enforcement has been weaponized against Christians, conservatives, and people of faith. We have war in Europe, war in the Middle East. China is threatening Taiwan. Iran is inches away from a nuclear bomb. They think Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon over the next 61 days. Can you imagine the stupidity of these people? We had it so good. When I was president, Iran was broke. They had no money. I told China, if you deal with them, you can't deal with us. I told that to India. I told it to France. I told it to every nation. And they were broke, and I wasn't looking to hurt them. I just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. And they weren't going to have one. And when bad things happened in that election, all of a sudden, this guy comes in, takes all the sanctions off. Iran is now a very rich nation. They have $250 billion in cash. Can you believe it? Not even mentioning the $6 billion they got for 5 hostages. How about $6 billion for 5 hostages? I'll tell you what, you know, if it was me, I'd say we got to give them up for that kind of money. $6 billion for 5. You know, I heard about it. It was 5 and 5. I said, okay, now tell me that's the end, right? Because we have Brittany Griner, And for Brittany Griner, well, you're just upset because she always believed in tying her shoelaces during the national anthem, right? Remember? That was when she tied her shoelaces during the national anthem. But for that, they got the greatest arms dealer, they say, in the history of mankind. That was the trade. And he's out there buying arms for Russia right now and happily buying all sorts of military equipment. That was a tough trade, I'll tell you. And then we left the one person behind. He couldn't. They said, "Oh, we'll get him later." Well, that was already a year ago. Now, what kind of deals do we make? Those are the deals that this country makes. But that was bad. And then I said, "Okay, we got 6 this one." So we got 5. They got 5. I said, "Well, that's a little better. Although I'd like to know, who are our 5s? Are they the greatest arms dealer? And we're giving you somebody that's not the same?" But it turned out
really an incredible negotiator, as you can tell.
all of it. In addition to the 5 and 5, we're giving them $6 billion. Oh, that's more like it. That's more like our country. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? And they have now, if you think, they're about $250 billion. They've made it all in a 3-year period. They had nothing. They were down to broke. They were broke. Actually, a Democrat congressman was on last week, 2 weeks ago, I think, on Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Donald Trump on Deface the Nation. And they hate when I say that. They spend all this money on PR people to, to clean up their act. There they are right back there, fakers. And then Trump gets on and he calls them Deface the Nation and all the different names we have for the different crooked media.
I'm sure it's crazy,
The media's really crooked. But they also, for giving electricity to Iraq, we gave them $10 billion. You've probably heard about that. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about from the oil. They took off all the sanctions. You couldn't do it with me and took off all the sanctions.
The crowd has no idea what Trump is talking about. And I'm not even blaming them. None of this makes any sense.
Everybody. Our military leaders have gone woke, and we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And I am the only candidate in this race who's up to the task of saving America from every single Biden disaster, starting on day 1. I know everybody. Thank you. You can sit down. Go ahead, sit down. Oh, we have some front row Joes. These people, I don't know, they must be rich. Stand up. These are rich people because I see them at every event. They're like at 167 in a row. What do? You must be loaded, right? Loaded with cash. But you know what he is more than he's a great American, and they are great Americans. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great people. Great people. There's so many events. It's beautiful. We have a lot of people that go to a lot of events. We have people that are well over 100. That group of beautiful ladies from North Carolina, right? They've gone to, I think, 117 now. I say, are your husbands happy with you? I don't know. But they're great people. Since 2016, you have been in this battle side by side. We've worked side by side, taking on the entire corrupt system in Washington like no one has ever done before. Nobody's ever done what we've done. We had, prior to COVID coming in, a gift from China. That was a beauty, right? But we had a meeting with John McLaughlin, the great pollster, and a couple of others, and they said, "Sir, if George Washington and Abraham Lincoln came back from the dead and they decided to run as president and vice president, you'd beat them by 35 points. Because this country was rocking. We were beating China. I put tariffs. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. Nobody had ever really.
Almost 80 years old, still doesn't know how his own tariffs work.
But they can't because they're producing so much money. Biden would love to get rid because, he got paid off by China, a lot of money.
No
evidence.
So
he wants to do whatever he can to keep them happy.
Zero evidence of that.
It's terrible. I mean, he's like a Manchurian candidate. This is what we have as a president. It's a terrible thing. Together we stood up to the failed establishment, the corrupt media. Those people right back there. Look at all those cameras. We stood up to the deep state, the globalists, the warmongers, the Wall Street special interests, the open borders fanatics, and the radical left. And we achieved more than any administration just about in the history of our country. We rebuilt our military. Think of it. We got the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history. We did things like right to try. where people were terminally ill and they couldn't get some of the really advanced medicines. We have the greatest labs and the greatest doctors in the world for all of that. And you couldn't, they'd travel to Asia, they'd travel to Europe, they'd travel all over the world. If they had no money, they'd go home and they'd die. But Right to Try gave them the right to use these great, we've saved thousands and thousands and thousands of people. One of those people is with us today, actually. Natalie, I don't know if Natalie's around, but she's with us today. Where is she? Where would Natalie be? But Right to Try was an amazing thing. She works with us. She works so hard. She's usually back working on the computer while I'm speaking. That's extremely insulting, but that's okay. She's heard this speech many times before. But we always change up our speeches, don't we, huh? A lot of politicians, they go around and they say the exact same speech for months.
Doesn't Trump?
Not a word change. It doesn't, even if history is changing in front of their very eyes, it's that same speech over and over again. And then they wonder why nobody listens. With me, there's always a risk, especially when I go off these suckers, right?
Does he really have no self-awareness whatsoever?
But with your vote in these caucuses, we're going to finish the job once and for all. We're going to do things, and we're going to make history. Look, this is the greatest movement of all time. Make America great again. We had a great election in 2016. We did much better in 2020. We got millions more votes. We did. I tell people, what was the difference? I said, well, we did much better in 2020. We got millions of more votes. I was told that if we got the same 63, and McLaughlin, who's here someplace, John McLaughlin, if he's around, come on up, John, you can talk.
Oh, no, not this guy.
I'm sure he didn't expect this. But he's a great pollster, considered, one of the true greats ever. And he said, sir, if you get 63 million votes, the same as we got in 2016, there's no way you can be beaten. So we got 75 million votes. But that's what they say. But we got much more than that. That's what they say. So we got millions and millions more votes. And then they said, oh, we just lost by just a tiny bit, these people. And think of it. All those people are dead in Ukraine. It would have never happened. Dead in Israel would have never happened. Israel would have never been attacked. Ukraine would have never been attacked. We wouldn't have had inflation. China wouldn't be looking at Taiwan. They're thirsting for Taiwan. They wouldn't be thinking about it. North Korea was happy with me, and they're not happy right now. Together, we fought long and hard to rescue the Republican Party from the likes of Mitt Romney, Karl Rove, Paul Ryan, right? The wheelchair over the cliff, right? Paul Ryan, the wheelchair over the cliff. He was great. And there's no chance we're going to let them claw their way back into power with the establishment pawns like Ron DeSanctimonious and Nikki Haley. Or even worse, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the worst. He's the worst president, he's the most corrupt president, and he's the most incompetent president. Other than that, I think he's doing quite a good job. Quite good. He's doing quite a good job, right? He's the most incompetent president we've ever had. And I say it, you could take the 10 worst presidents in history, add them up together, and they haven't done the damage to this country that this guy has done.
Is Trump talking about himself here?
Our country is dying, and this is no time to waste your vote on another establishment career politician. And, look, I say we have a very big lead over these people, but you just can't take a chance. You don't know. It's elections, and a lot of things happen with elections. We learned that. But they're not going to be able to carry the water, and there's a bad seat. When you get people in, how about Nikki? She'd go, I would never run against our president. He's the greatest president. He did a great job. He was a great president. I would never run. This goes on for 2 years, I'd never run against the president. Then one day I heard she's having a news conference. I'm going to be running for the presidency. She doesn't have what it takes. I will tell you that. I know her very well. Unlike every other candidate.
Trump hired her, actually.
You know that in your heart, I am the only one that puts America first. I put America first, and with God's help, I will get the job done like I did before. A vote for Donald Trump in the caucuses is a vote to secure our border. It's a vote to stop the invasion. It's an invasion on our southern border.
Dehumanizing language.
Rescue our economy. It's a vote to reclaim
Economy's doing great.
from crooked Joe Biden and his criminal thugs that work with him.
No evidence of criminality from Joe Biden.
Are horrible. What they've done with the election. I mean, I got more indictments than Al Capone. Did you ever hear of Al Capone? It's true. Alphonse Capone, the great Alphonse Capone. He was so nasty that if he had dinner with Mike Lindell and Mike smiled, that beautiful smile he's got, Al might think that it was a mocking type smile. Mike would be dead tomorrow morning. Nobody would know. Mike, it would be so painful. He's not into that. But I have worse than Al Capone, okay? And he's about as bad as you get, right? He was a mean guy. This was never in my plan, being indicted for it. I got indicted. I had a period I was being indicted so fast we didn't know where the hell they were coming from. If I flew over in my beautiful plane, I flew over a blue state, the next day I'd get served with a subpoena. But you know, the good thing is probably I'm 25 points higher than I would have been. I mean, we would have won easily anyway, but we're in record stratosphere because people get it. People get it. They've weaponized the Justice Department, and they're a disgrace to the whole world. They're a disgrace. The whole world is watching, and they get it. This election is our last chance to save America. The battle begins in Iowa on January 15th, and Joe Biden's banana republic ends on November 5th, 2024.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. With your help, we're going to bring our country back from hell. Victory cannot come soon enough.
It's so funny because it's like, 3.7% unemployment, inflation down to 3%, stock market exploding, GDP exploding, wages up. We're in hell right now.
We've never had what's happening. You look at these scenes of millions of people coming across our border. I think it's going to be 15 or 16 million people. That's more than New York State. That's more than almost any state. Have a couple more, but they'll catch them in 2 years. It's horrible. People are going into schools now. They're occupying schools. They don't speak the language. They don't even know what the language is. They're sitting with your children in schools. They're occupying the hospital.
Do you know how dangerous it is to sit next to people who don't speak English?
But they shouldn't be coming up. They shouldn't be coming here. And the way they don't come here is you say, I'm sorry, we can't take you, so that when they do come, you don't feel so bad about turning them back. But we accept everybody, and we can't take care of them. It's unsustainable for a country. It's unsustainable. This is the largest illegal mass migration in history. There's never been anywhere in the world, there's never been anything like this where 15 or 16 million people are going to come across the border over a short period of time.
That is absolutely not the case.
Aliens were detected crossing the border in December alone. 300,000 in December. In December, we had the safest border in history. Think of it. We had the safest border in history 3 years ago. And now we have the worst border in the history of the world. In the history of the world, there's never been anything like what's happening. We built 561 miles of border wall. Nobody gives us credit for it. If a 2x4 is laying on the ground that's 50 years old and rotted, they said, you didn't build a new wall, that was a renovation. Okay? So they said, yeah, we built over 500 miles of wall, but a lot of it was renovation. You'd have a piece of steel that's 90 years old laying in the ground that you don't even know if it's steel. It's rotted, rusted. And we dig down 9 feet deep and 30 feet high with steel, with rebar, with concrete. That wall is exactly what Border Patrol wanted. It has an anti-climb provision at the top. I never liked the look of it, to be honest. It has a panel on top. It's called anti-climb. I said, I'd like to leave it off because I'm a very aesthetic person. I said, it looks better without it. They said, the difference is they can climb over the wall the other way. They can't climb it. It's called anti-climb. I said, all right, I'll give it to you. I gave it to Border Patrol. We have unbelievable Brandon Judd. And then we have the great Tom Homan. You know that Tom Homan, Central Casting. I'd say he is Central Casting, right? And he's a great guy, and we have incredible people. All they had to do is leave it the way it was. We had the record in like 38 years, the record lows And if Biden just went to the beach and left everything alone, but they couldn't do that. He goes to the beach. He can't even lift one of those little aluminum chairs that are meant for children to pick up. He's not strong enough to do it. Remember when he used to say, I'd like to take him behind the barn. I hit a long ball, you know, shh. But I'd like to take him behind the barn and say, then I'd teach him. If he ever did that, you know what I'd do? I'd go, and he'd fall down. He'd fall down, go.
Right. Right.
But he used to say that it was fine. If I ever said that, oh, that's terrible. He's a fascist. He's horrible. You know, if I ever said that about him, I'm going to take him behind the barn and I'm going to beat the hell out of him. They'd say, he's a fascist. He's horrible. But when Biden says it, oh, isn't that nice? I guess they probably know in that sense, physically he's harmless. And mentally he's harmless too, but he's got a lot of people around him that are bad news. And we get Mexico. You know, we got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers worth billions and billions. You know, when they say he didn't get money from Mexico, what do you mean? I got more money than even if there was no legal mechanism for them to build the wall, give us the wall, build it. But they could give us soldiers. I got 28,000 soldiers from Mexico. And everyone said that would be impossible. And the head of, you probably heard this story, but the head of the State Department, one of the top people who dealt only with Mexico for 24 years, I think, she said, sir, you're never going to get this. I said, no, I want to get it. We'll get it 100%. She said, you're not going to get it, sir. And she was a good woman. She was just a lousy negotiator. And I said, no, we'll get it. And she said, what else are you going to answer? I'm going to say remain in Mexico. I want everybody to remain in Mexico. And I want catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release into the United States, and about 9 or 10 other things. Then I asked Tom Homan and I asked Brandon Judd, give me the top 10 things. They gave me, so we came in with like 12 items, 10 or 12 items. Everyone was impossible. The big one was we want the soldiers.
Trump's told this story about 100 times. I think we've lost bingo, but this is a story we're very familiar with.
And he came over, handsome man, very good-looking man, dapper. And what can we do for you, President? I said, here's the story. You're going to give us 28,000 soldiers. No. We're not going to give you 28. I said, yes, you 100%. 100%. You're going to give us 28,000 soldiers. No, we're not. Yes, you are. Then I said, you're going to give us stay in Mexico. Everyone's going to stay in Mexico. That's the way it is. Nothing you can do about it. Everyone's staying in Mexico.
The crowd just electrified by this story.
100%. He didn't know what the hell was going on because he said no, and I'm saying, of course you are. And then I said, catch and release, but we don't release them in our country anymore. We release them in your country. No. I said, he said, looks at me, he goes, why do you keep saying I'm going to? I keep saying I'm not. I said, you're going to, 100% you're going to. Would you like to make a bet? We'll make a bet. And he said, no, I don't understand what you're getting at. I said, here's the story. If you don't give us all of these 12 items, I'm going to put a 25% tariff on every single piece of equipment and car and everything that Mexico sends into our country. And we're going to tariff you at 25%. And after 2 months, it goes to 50%. And after 2 months, it goes to 75%. And that's a lot more money than the cost of the soldiers and the cost of... So they gave us billions and billions of dollars. He said... may I please excuse myself and call the president? I said, good, 5 minutes, come back. So he comes back in 5. Sir, it would be a great honor to give you 28,000 soldiers, sir. Be a great honor to give you.
What a great story.
Remain in Mexico, sir. Be our honor. We would love to do it. We would love to keep MS-13 in Mexico. You know, we love the roughest gang. So we got everything we wanted. And the woman, I will say this, the woman in the State Department said, I've never seen anything like that in my life. But it wasn't even hard, you want to know the truth. We do many things
it was
like
easy,
that.
actually.
I did it with France. I did it with a lot of people where they take advantage of our country, and I did it. In France, they were going to charge, you know that story, they were going to charge us 25%, our American companies, if they do business in France. I said, no, you're not. They're not going to do that. I gave it to my people. 2 months later, they said they couldn't make a deal. I said, I'll make a deal. I called up the head of France, you know, Macron. Do you know Macron? He's a very nice guy. Macron.
Obama.
And really a very nice guy. I said, Emmanuel, how are you? He said, fine. I said, I heard you're going to charge American companies 25% to do things in Mexico. Who else are you doing? Well, nobody yet, but we will do other. I said, no, but you're not going to do it, Emmanuel. You're not going to, no, Donald, it has already passed. I said, well, you better unpass it, because if you don't unpass it, you're going to pay a 100% tariff on all wines and champagnes that are shipped into the United States starting tonight. No, you cannot do that, Donald. You cannot do that.
Donald.
I said, I can do that. In fact, I'm just signing it right now. No. Okay, Donald, look, okay, we're not going to do it. That was the end of it, Mike. That was the end of it. It was so easy. And I could tell you 200 things like that.
Right.
I could tell you 200 things like that. I could tell you about aircraft carriers where they use electric catapults. They couldn't go to the steam, which works better for about 1/100th the price, the electric catapult. You know that story? I could tell you about the elevators on a tremendous aircraft carrier, the Gerald Ford. And they decided not to use hydraulic like a John Deere tractor. They decided to use magnets. We're going to use magnets to lift up the elevators with 7 planes on them. We need them fast, these massive elevators. They used magnets. They wanted to try it for the first time. This was a ship that was supposed to cost $2.5 billion. It cost $19 billion and didn't work and still doesn't, right? So they use electric catapults instead of the...
Really a great storyteller.
Anybody ever see those planes get thrown off there? Instead, they get thrown off. It's been great for 60 years, but now we decide to go with all electric. You know what you did? Biden must have been involved in that, right? He must have been. So I said, I visited the carrier because I wanted to know, it's only about 7 years late, actually, and costing a fortune, totally out of control. So I go, and they had me meeting an admiral. I said, I don't want to see the admiral. I want to see the people in charge of the catapult. They're catapulters. So these guys come out. One guy named Bill Jones. Bill, hi, Bill. What do you do? Sir, I'm a catapulter. And he's proud of it, too. He's great. I said, so tell me about the electric catapults. He said, they're no good, sir. They don't work. And if they break, we have to send to MIT to get a genius to come in and fix them. Whereas the steam, I could fix it with a hammer and a blowtorch. And when the steam got hit with a wave, which we do a lot, sir, those waves are bigger than these ships. He said, when the steam got hit with a wave, sir, it didn't have any impact. In fact, it was nice. We loved it. When the electric gets hit with a little piece of water like this, you could drop it with a glass. That's the end of that system. And I said, so you're saying it's so good. Why do they go to it? Because, sir, it goes back and forth, back and forth. You could do it every time. But the only problem is, sir, it takes us 99 seconds to load it. So it doesn't help that it goes back. And during that 99, the steam builds up. So a little complicated, but it was pretty simple, actually. I said, so which is better? Tell me. Sir, the steam is much better.
It's complicated, but simple, actually.
Not me. They had a $900 million cost overrun on these stupid electric catapults that didn't work. They had an almost $1 billion cost overrun on the magnetic elevators. Think of it, magnets. Now, all I know about magnets is this. Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnets. Why didn't they use John Deere? Why didn't they bring in the John Deere people? Do you like John Deere? I like John Deere, but
right.
With the hydraulic, right? So I said, you're wasting your time. You ought to get rid of it. And then I was angry about it because this thing cost, I think, $18 billion. Can you believe one ship? There's never been anything like it. What a disaster. But one ship cost $18 billion. It was totally out of control. I said, bring in the architect. I want to see the architect. And he walks into my office 2 days later. I said, have you ever designed a ship before? Well, not too much, sir. Can you believe this? He's doing the biggest ship. I think it's the biggest ship in the world, actually. It's like landing at Kennedy Airport. And it's amazing. I said, tell me, you moved the tower, the tower that's always in the center and hanging off the side, and it looks great like the Roosevelt and the other aircraft. We built the tower in the back. And I don't know if you know anything about... By the way, this is more interesting than listening to teleprompter stuff, right?
This is very much not interesting. And shipbuilding is not one of Trump's core competencies.
But so here, just to finish it up, I said, so let me ask you, for the pilots here, the hardest thing you can do as a pilot is land on an aircraft carrier because it's big and powerful. They look so big. But when they're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean and you got waves going 15 different ways and this thing's rocking all over the place, despite all of the stuff, it still rocks like a son of a gun. Actually, some of the greatest pilots can't do it because they may be claustrophobic. So I said, by moving the tower back, you're making that area much thinner to land, and they already have a big problem land. It's very hard to land a plane on an aircraft carrier. You really have to have talent. So I said, by moving the tower back, because the middle of the boat is the widest part. Now the tower hangs out over the sea, but this thing came right to the back. And I said, by doing that, you're really making it much tougher for the pilots because it's a much narrower runway. Does that all make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I said, why did you do that? Nobody's ever mentioned that to us, sir. I said, I don't do this professionally, but I'm very good at design. I said, yeah. I also don't like the look. I like the,
very good.
You know, these things with boom, they're hanging way out over the side, and you have a much more room. Then I asked him one other question. What are all those rooms on the bottom under the tower? Sir, that's for the storage of ammunition. Oh, I see. So the poor captain or admiral sitting up on the deck, if they hit the ammunition, that guy's gone. The tower goes up like a rocket ship, right? Well, we never thought of that, sir. These people, I'm telling you,
this is an insane
It's really
story.
Unbelievable. But there are many, many stories. I could go all night telling you about the stupidity in government. And we correct. He goes, okay, keep doing it. You want to hear about 10 more stories? Yeah? But anyway. You think Joe Biden can tell you about it?
He really is the guy you don't want to get stuck with in the corner at a dinner party. I mean, it's remarkable.
Couldn't find the stairs off the stage. He's looking. You ever notice he looks like this? He's finished with the speech, which usually lasts no longer than about 3 minutes, because, you know, the medical stuff wears off after 3 minutes. So he's looking around.
Sick.
And you know, the problem with doing that, I just told another group, we had a couple of meetings today, pretty nice ones in Iowa, but I just told the other group, the fake news is so crooked that when I do that, we're going to have a little fun. I do that. Then they say, Donald Trump was unable to find his way off the stage. It's true, Mike. They do that. They say he's unable to find, or when I mimic him talking, you know, not a good talker. He's not a good talker. So when I mimic him sometimes talking, they show me mimicking, and they say, Donald Trump was unable to get the words out today. No, this guy we got a bad guy. He's a bad guy, actually. You know, they try and make him like, oh, he's not a nice person. I mean, he will go after his political opponent in a campaign, indict him 4 times. Today we got charged $370 million fine on a perfect loan. Nobody ever even heard of such a thing, using a statute that's disgraceful. These people are corrupt people, and they're bad people. They're actually very bad people, and we can't let them get away with it. We better win this damn election. I'll tell you, this country's finished. It's finished.
What Trump means is, I think I can stay out of prison if I become president again.
It's going to be okay, though, because I think we will. I think we will. I never like to say we will because that gives it the maloiki, you know, that gives it a little bit of, but I'll tell you, nobody's ever seen poll numbers like this. Even the fake news was telling me today, they said they've never seen poll numbers like we have. But now we have to put it away. We got, think of it, 9 days. 9 days to Iowa. Then we go to New Hampshire, where we're leading by a lot. Then we go to Nevada. Right? Then we go to South Carolina, where I'm leading by, in Nevada, we're leading by 90%.
There's no way. Let's see.
They might not even show up. Then we go to South Carolina, which is so great. Great governor there, Henry McMaster. You know, the reason I chose Nikki is I wanted to get her out so Henry...
Trump seems to be leading by roughly 50, not by 90.
Somebody else, and she lost. I had a much better endorsement. And I wanted to get Henry to be the governor, so I got 2 for the price of 1, but he was much more important than Nikki to me. But Ron DeSanctimonious, Nikki Haley, and the rest of the pack will never be able to do what I do and what all of these people do. You know, they're all ready to come back. They say, sir, as soon as you're back, Tom Homan called me the other day, sir, we're all ready to go on the border, and they'll do that thing. They'll fix that border so fast. They'll fix it so fast. And they wouldn't do it for anyone else. They wouldn't even do it for anyone else. We had, think of it, we had the safest border in the history of our country, and then they destroyed it like overnight, and people just coming in by the millions and millions. And a lot of people don't understand it, because how can that be good? How can it be good? It's so bad for the country, and I think they really are doing it because they want to sign these people up to vote. I really do.
Sign them up.
I never would have believed it. They can't speak a word of English for the
Yep, 8 years and English required to become a citizen and be able to vote.
To vote. I think that's why they're doing it, because they can't be any other reason. Nikki Haley has been in the pocket of the open borders establishment donors for her entire career. Now, Nikki Haley's campaign is being funded by Biden donors. Did you know that? You got a lot of Biden donors. They're giving a lot of money because they want to take out Trump, because in the polls, I'm the only one that beats this guy. Can you believe that? Anybody should beat him. See that young man sitting right there? He's like 7 years old, not you, right behind. He's 7 years old. He should beat him. I'd vote for him. You know, you give him the store test. Come on, none. Let's say you owned a little store, just an easy store, a little store, like a candy store, right? You know, a lot of candy stores, a little store. Do you think that if you went away for 2 weeks, you'd put Joe Biden in charge? He couldn't run it.
No, he's president.
He couldn't run a store. He couldn't run a store. If you had a little candy store, Joe, would you take over? How do you run a thing like? He's the president. How do you run this? I don't know. I wouldn't know how. I wouldn't know where to begin, sir. Nikki opposed my border wall. She condemned my strong border policies, and in 2016, she stabbed the Republican Party.
All right. Well, I think we've seen enough. I mean, listen, we did it. It's the same speech. It's the same speech he gave earlier. I don't really see any reason to continue this. He'll probably do the music and then talk about how the airplanes don't take off at the airports, and he'll sweat and that sort of thing. So I think this is where we're at. Maybe I'll stream one of these tomorrow. We will have the caucus live on the 15th, certainly. But I don't know. You know, if you really want to keep watching this, you can, but I would recommend not doing it. You know, quite frankly, I would recommend not doing it. So I appreciate everybody who joined me today. This is going to conclude our coverage. It's the same speeches as 2020, so I don't know that I'm going to make a habit of covering these rallies. Election nights, we're going to be doing debates, but I think Trump has 7 of these in the next 10 days. I'll probably do like one more or something like that. So in any case, Trump soaking wet, eye almost swollen shut, telling lies as he always does. We'll have a full review of it on the Monday show, and I hope everybody has a really good weekend.
Obama.
And there's an Obama for the people requesting it. We'll see you very, very soon.